Morning, everyone. Welcome to Desktop Central Training. I'd like to thank everyone for joining the webinar in your busy schedule today. Before we proceed, I would like to check whether you all can hear my voice and view the presentation. Kindly do confirm that by commenting on the chat. I will wait for your confirmation. Thank you all for the confirmation. Let's proceed. Let me introduce myself. My name is Abraham Jabaraj, and I have 5 years of IT industry experience. I'll be the presenter for today's webinar. Let's have a quick look at the training schedule. As you all know, this is 7 weeks training series. Now we are in the third week of the training schedule. And all the training videos will be recorded and it will be available in the website in the below mentioned link, desktopcentral.com training.html. In case if you missed the previous training modules, you can access those videos from there. Also, registered participants will be receiving the training videos through email. So today's topic is asset management, and here is the agenda of today's training. And we'll start with the overview of asset management, and we'll see how it works in the background. And this whole webinar is designed based on problem and solution approach. So I have taken 4 real-time examples to discuss on this uses. We'll see how Desktop Central's asset management helps in managing licenses, controlling the usage of unauthorized applications, and get some reports for Windows 10 upgrades and also to resolve hard disk related issues. Followed by that, we'll be discussing on other interesting scenarios and solutions that we came across in our support experience. During this training, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type your questions in chat. Our expert panel available here will answer your questions. We'll also discuss on a few commonly asked questions by the end of this presentation. So before we move further into asset management, let's have a quick recap about the general overview of Desktop Central. So Desktop Central is considered to be a unified endpoint management solution. So this helps in managing servers, laptops, desktops, and even smartphones and tablets from a central location. Traditional endpoint management has some difficulties in managing modern IT environment, which involves like heterogeneous devices or with the devices that travel outside the organization's network. So this Desktop Central offers an umbrella approach as a unified endpoint management to manage all the endpoint devices with an organization from a central location. So supported operating systems. So Desktop Central's asset management supports all 3 major operating systems, Windows, Macintosh, and Linux. So here we can see the split-ups of the versions that we do support. And we also have large customer base who contributes to our community. So with the help of them, we are categorizing the application as commercial automatically. So right now we have 13,000 and growing applications supported by Desktop Central. And so here is the architecture of Desktop Central. As you all might know, Desktop Central is an on-premises solution, and this is a client-server-based application model. So agents should be installed on all the client machines that you wish to manage. So for installing the agents, you can depend on these 3 methods. First, from the console, you can push the agents to the client machines, or you can download and install the agent manually or by script deployment. Or if you're using Active Directory in your Windows network, you should be able to leverage the GPO and deploy the agents. So using Desktop Central, you can manage desktops, laptops, servers, and even Surface devices. Right. So as you see in this diagram, you can manage the client machines which are in the local network where the server is located, or even you can manage the client machines in your remote offices, like in different countries or different geographical locations and all that. So when you configure and manage the machines in remote offices, And if you have large number of computers in this remote office, and if you have concerns with bandwidth, you can use the component called distribution server. So what is this distribution server? So if you have concerns in bandwidth, you can use this. So if you're creating a patch task or a software task on the server, so instead of allowing all the client machines to communicate to the main server to download the packages or softwares, this distribution server alone will communicate to the main server and replicate the packages over here. So agents will download the packages or the patches from this distribution server and install them. So this feature helps you to manage the bandwidth efficiently. Even roaming users can also be managed by Desktop Center. In order to manage them directly over internet, you need to first expose your main server to internet. So for this, you can use the feature called Network Address Translation NAT, or you can place your main server in DMZ, so demilitarized zone. I presume everybody knows about DMZ. This is where you can place your server in a secure hosting so that the client machines can reach the server in a secure way. And so here are the components involved in Desktop Center. So we have seen about server, agent, and the distribution server. And other components are like notification server. So notification server is another important component which plays an important role in any on-demand tasks and in tools like remote control and on any on-demand tasks. And failover server brings in an additional server which actively monitors the primary server and takes over the operation of the primary server if the primary server fails. So this feature helps you to eliminate the downtime in your business. So next is a forwarding server. So remember I told you about the roaming users where I need to place my server in DMZ or I need to expose my server to internet. In case if I have constraints in placing my server in DMZ, then I can use the option called forwarding server, which is an additional component. So forwarding server acts as a secure gateway server between the main server and the roaming users and the remote office client machines. So any communication between this roaming users and the remote office client machines will be routed only through this forwarding server. So this will be a secure gateway. So additionally, we provide options to place your desktop center server in Azure or AWS Marketplace. So having a server in the cloud platform will be an added advantage for you. So if you are managing more roaming users, it will be easier for you to manage, and it's even a cost-effective solution where you don't have to worry about hardware and infrastructure maintenance costs, especially if you are a managed service provider, then cloud will be the best option for you. So Desktop Central will be on cloud very soon, and now we have released the cloud version for another ManageEngine product, which is Patch Manager Plus. So we'll also have plans to introduce our own cloud platform called Zoho Cloud. So Desktop Central can also be hosted from the Zoho Cloud. So here are the ports used by Desktop Central. So we would recommend you to open these ports here in order to use the specific features in Desktop Center. For example, voice and video chat is one of the features associated with the product works in UDP port, which is 8443. And agent server communication happens on port 8020, and server to agent notification happens on port 8027, which is a TCP port. And agent server communication can also be made to happen securely on port 8383. So to know more about the ports, you can visit the below mentioned website, desktopcentral.com ports here. And so here is the important part. So Desktop Central architecture is scalable to manage even larger networks up to 20,000 machines. So this is possible because of this refresh policy that we use. What is this refresh policy? So the concept here is every Desktop Central agent would be contacting the server at every 90 minutes. So this is called agent refresh cycle. So this feature ensures that all computers in the network contacts the server periodically and picks the job available for them. So two important factors are ensured here. First, the network is not being choked by the agent-server communication, meaning bandwidth is not being disturbed due to the agent-server communication. So the performance of the server is also not getting affected anytime due to this policy. So desktop central server has an intelligence to ensure systematic streamlined communication from all the agents at regular intervals. So it will automatically slice down the number of client machines should communicate to them. For example, in a network of 90 computers, one computer will reach out to the main server every minute. And same way, in a network of 900 computers, 10 computers will reach the server per minute. And for larger networks like 9,000 machines, 100 machines will reach the server per minute. So using this feature, desktop central agent can easily communicate to the server without any hesitation. If you guys have any questions on this architecture, please feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Okay, so till now we have discussed about the general architecture of desktop center. So now we'll move on and discuss about asset management. First, we'll discuss on why do enterprise need asset management. In simple terms, asset management is required to manage all IT assets, hardware, software. And also, this is to find number of computers, hardware, software information network, and the types of hardware and software, and also to manage the licenses, hardware warranty details, to track the warranty details, and to find the unauthorized applications, and also to find the usage of a software and to get some comprehensive reports. So these are all the basic requirements of asset management in enterprise environment. So we'll discuss about that in detail here. And so here's the next point. So what is asset management and how it works? So what does the scan process do? Okay. For an asset management, scan process is very much important. We call that as inventory scan. So let me explain this in simple terms. So here's the architecture that shows how asset management works. So as we discussed before, we need to install agents on all the client machines first. So when you install the agent on the client machine, desktop central agent runs two scans automatically. First, the patch scan. The second is asset scan. So since we are into asset management, we talk only about the asset scan for now. So scanning is very important for asset management, as I told you. So when a scan is performed for the first time, it takes the complete data of a computer, which includes the details of the hardware, software, and all of the details, and it will post them directly to the server based on a refresh interval. So this scan is called full scan, where it collects the entire data. This is the first cycle, okay? So moving further, you can initiate a scan from the server, which is called on-demand scan. So when you initiate a scan from the server, an on-demand scan request will be sent to the client machines through the notification server port, and the client machines will run the scan and it will post the data to the server. But this time, it will not post the entire data. It will only post the changes made from the last successful scan till the current scan. So this subsequent scans are called differential scans. So this, since it is posting only the differential data. So agent has an intelligence to compare the data of the old scan data and the new scan data, and it will only going to post the difference to the server. So this would reduce the bandwidth being used by the desktop central agent for posting the data. So the next question is, do I need to always run a scan as an on-demand manually? No, you have an option to schedule a scan as well. Let me show that to you on the console. Let me switch back to the console. And so here is the desktop central server console. So I'll click on the inventory module. And so here is the option called scan systems. So here I can see all the machines which are communicating to the server. So if I want to initiate an on-demand scan, I can select the computers and I can initiate an on-demand scan. on a selected missions, or I can click on scan all to initiate it. And I can see the last successful scan time and the last scan time. So last successful scan is where the complete data has been posted, and last scan is where it is attempting the scan. So this is the difference here. And this is the manual way of triggering an on-demand scan. But if I want to automatically do a scan, I can go for schedule scan option. I can enable a schedule scan here. I can set the condition, the frequency, daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly basis. I can even schedule a specific time on the weekdays or only on the weekends and all that. So only the scan is going to help you in collecting the data. So make sure you do the scan at least once in a week to collect the latest information from the computers. Okay, this is all about the scan. Let's move on to the next part of asset management. So what kind of data is collected during the scan? Okay, right. So I have shown you how to initiate a scan and all that. So, and we have discussed about what happens during the scan. And the next thing is what data are collected and how do we collect the data? So when agent runs a scan, agent will capture the information about the computer hardware and other things from the WMI and from the registry values, and it will post them to the server. This is in terms of Windows computer. But similarly, for the Linux machines and Mac machines, we will run a quick commands in the background through the agent, and we will collect the details and post to the server. If you want to view those informations, either I can click on the computer name from here, or I can go to the computer tab and I can select a computer to view the details of the computer. So this is a computer summary page where I can see the summary of everything, the hardware, warranty details, everything will be captured here. And the system details will tell you what are all the users, services, groups, shares being available here. And the hardware will tell you the details about each and every hardware installed on the computer. And the software will tell you all the softwares installed on the computers. File details will list you the files being used on that computer, and security details will tell you whether it's secure by BitLocker, antivirus, and even the firewall status will also be captured here. And even USB audit will also be captured on this by running the scan. So this is the data. This is all about the data that we collect during the scan. If you want to export this as a computer-based report, you can export this as a PDF for this computer alone, or you can go to this computer tab once again, and you can add your columns that you need, and you can export it from here. Or in the hardware view, it will just going to let you know about the hardware installed. You can select any predefined filters, and you can filter that. And again, in the software view, it is going to list you the softwares being installed. And if you click on a application name, you can see the applications, the computers where these applications are installed. So this is all about what data that we collect on the scanning. So if you guys have any questions on this asset management general topics, you can reach us on the chat. We can help you. Okay. So as I informed before, this whole webinar is based on a problem and solution approach. So this is the first real-time example that I have taken, managing Office 365 licenses. Managing software licenses is a very important part in an asset management. So in an enterprise, being compliant, and also this will help you to plan the additional purchase of the licenses and the renewal of the licenses accordingly. So this is very much important. So let me show you some few basic information about the licensing before we move into the scenario first. So let me go back to the console. So in this inventory tab, we have an option called Manage Licenses. This is where I can manage the licenses of a computer, right, in my network. So first, to add the license, I have two options. So one is I can individually add the license, or I can import them from CSV. So let's talk about this manual method. So here I have two options. One, the application might be already installed on my network. Second, if the application is not already installed, I can simply define the name over here of the application and I can add the details. If it is already installed, it's even more simple. I can click on select. I can select the specific application. For example, I'll select 365 application, Office 365 and select it. And I will be able to add the number of licenses for the application. Okay, let me select a simple application to show you this. Okay, here we go. So like this, I can add the license count. And the other details are all optional. You can provide the company to which this is being licensed to, purchase date, expiry date, the license key. You can add this for your reference. The license file, you can add it. And you can add your comments over here. And you can associate the missions if you already know the name of the missions, which is to which you want to associate these licenses to. Otherwise, you can simply click on Save. So once you click on Save, we will automatically calculate the manage installations and the total licenses purchased, and we will tell you whether you have remaining licenses or not. For example, this is the application that we're going to talk about. So I have already added 20 licenses for this application. And I also do have 20 installations on my network. So as you see here, I do not have any remaining license. So this says that it is in compliance. So which means the managed installations is equal to the total purchases. All right. And likewise, we have other options like over license, under license, and everything. And in case if I want to import license details in a bulk, then I can go for this import CSV option. I can follow the instructions in the sample CSV and I can create a sample CSV and I can import the details from it. So this is also feasible for me. Okay. And this compliance is very much important for me. So let me go back to the slide to explain this better to you. So here is the scenario. So if the number of licenses purchased is equal to the number of installation, we call that as in compliance. If the number of licenses purchased is greater than the number of installation, it's called over license. And if it is the other way around, if the number of installations is greater, then we call that as under license. So we may have to purchase additional licenses. So this is the basic things about licensing. So to understand the functionalities better, let's take an example here. So let's assume that I'm an administrator and I already have installed Office 365 application to 20 users and I have allocated 20 licenses to them. So recently, my HR team informed me that 5 new employees are joining my company, and they're going to they're going to be on the finance team. So they also need this Office 365 licenses, I mean applications to be installed. But in this scenario, I already allocated the license to the users. I do not have any more license here. So I only have two options here. One, I need to procure additional licenses and I need to install the application and I need to allocate the license. Or I need to revoke the license from the existing users and I need to provide them to the new users. Okay, so let's assume that I'm going for the option one. So I choose the option to uh, procure more licenses by checking with my management. So the management agreeing to purchase, so I am purchasing the license. So in this scenario, I will go for this option here under Actions tab. So I can click on this, can click on Add More, and so here I will be having an option to add the additional license count, and I can click on Save next to it. Once it is done, I can see the number of licenses purchased turned out to be 25 and the managed licenses turned out to be 20. So I have 5 more remaining there. So then I can allocate this licenses to the new installations, which is going to be for the new users, and I can effectively use it. Okay. So what if I do not have an option to procure additional license? Okay. So that again another challenging scenario. So in that scenario, I first need to revoke some licenses from the existing 20 users and I need to allocate to the new users. Okay, but how do I find the users from where from whom I can revoke these licenses? For this, I can go for the option called software metering, using which I'm planning to monitor the usage of this application for in each and every users that are actually using it. Okay, so let me explain this in simple terms. So first, I'm going to add a rule to monitor the usage of this application. So I'm going to select the application count application from this list here, and I'm going to define the file name here. So assume that I already have added the rule to monitor this. So I have added this and I'm saving this now. So this rule will be read by the agents on the subsequent refresh cycle. So when they read it, they will start monitoring the word.exe from the next refresh cycle, and they will understand how many times the application has been used. So the agent will calculate the usage based on the number of times it's been opened and closed and the total usage. So we will collect that details and we will post this as a status in the software metering summary. So agent will only post the status once in a day, that is also by end of the day. So if I go to the summary report, I can see the total usage summary here, or I can click on the discovered count to see the number of users using it and the total usage count for each and every users individually. So I could see some users are using it for very less number of times here. So for example, this machine is using two, this machine is using it only for three times, and likewise, I have few other machines here. So I can talk with these users, I can understand their usability, and I can provide them their other options, and I can revoke these licenses, and I can add those licenses to the new users. So this is all about license management. So if you guys have any questions on this part, please feel free to ask your questions in chat. We will help you. Let me move back to the slide. Okay, so let's move on to the second real-time example, which is controlling bandwidth spikes and non-standard applications. Let's assume that I'm an administrator again. In my last admin meeting, there was two important concerns raised by my network security team. So first, a considerable amount of bandwidth was consumed by desktop. The second, some unauthorized applications are being used by network. So as an administrator, it's my responsibility to address the situation. So I get a report from a network team about this. And so in the bandwidth spike report, I found that the torrent is the reason for this, bandwidth spike. So I wanted to see who are using that specific application in my environment. How do I do that? So let me show you that. So in this console, I have the options called reports, inventory reports. I can straight away click on this report section and I can navigate to the reports section, inventory reports. So all these reports are called are predefined reports because every logics are already inbuilt. You can simply click on it, you can export it. That's called predefined report. So pertaining to the scenario, I wanted to find a specific application on my network. So I will go for this software-based report and I will use this report called computer with and without specific application. So this will help me to search for an application. So I can search to my entire domain or to a specific remote office or a specific domain and all that. And so here I can provide the software name here. So if I already know the exact name of the software, then I can provide the name as equal or not equal to, and I will provide this name as torrent. If I'm not so sure about the name, then I will use this option like this, and I can see this option. You see here, I have like 152 users who are currently using this torrent application, which is a very large count, and this is going to be a threat to my network again. So I need to handle this situation in an effective way. So I need to do two things here. One, I need to remove this unauthorized application from those computers, from all these computers. And I need to monitor if any users are installing this application again. If so, I need to find who is installing the application and when they are installing it. How do I achieve this using desktop setup? Okay, let me show you the options available for you. So let me go back to inventory. And we have this option called prohibit software. So using which you can achieve the options that I mentioned you before. So if I go to the software list, I can even see the entire list of softwares listed and all that. Okay. But now I need to first add a rule to say to mark that application as a prohibited application. So if I go here, I will be searching for the torrent application again, and I will mark this application as a prohibited application. Okay. So I will mark this as a prohibited application. So once the application is marked as a prohibited application, it will be listed over here, and you can see the total usage of that application, and you can see systems with prohibited. This tab will give you the list of computers who are all using all these prohibited applications. And regarding my first action, I need to uninstall this application from all the users. How do I do that? I can configure an auto uninstall policy to do this. So if I go here, I will add the number of applications, prohibited applications that can be uninstalled during the boot, because we're going to uninstall this applications during the reboot, the next reboot after this specific time that so this is like a grace period that I can provide with the users, and I can notify them during every login, right? So after 3 days, the software, the prohibited application which you are using will be uninstalled. So before that, please do uninstall that. So these are all like can message that you can show that to the end users, and you can enable this. But for this automatic uninstallation to work, I first need to configure an uninstallation switch so that we can silently uninstall it. For every exe-based application, you have an option to configure a silent switch. Either it could be a pre-filled uninstallation command where we'll provide some pre-filled uninstallation command. You can just add the silent switch alone, or you can use this option and add it. So you might have discussed about this in detail in the software deployment module as well. So I need to configure this. So we will use this silent switch and uninstall them during the next reboot after the scheduled time here. And what if the user needs this application for a business purpose? Okay, so we also provide an option for the users to show or request an administrator that he is using this application for a specific purpose, or he can request to provide permission for a certain number of days or so. So in that scenario, I can see all those user requests in this view, and I can approve or deny it. And I can see the audit history over here, and I can do it. So this tab will give me the details about the auto installation status. And if I am going to approve it, so then I can add the specific user to this exclusion list using this option called custom group or computers. So computers, it's simple. This will going to list me the computers, and I can add them to this exclusion list. So that computer will not be considered as a computer with the prohibited software for this specific computer, for this specific software alone. So this is for the specific softwares. But what if I have some VIP users like my CEO of my company or my managers, IT managers? So they are allowed to use any softwares on their own interest. So in that scenario, I can simply create a global exclusion list based on the computers individually, or I can go for a custom group option. Okay, let me explain what is this custom group first. So custom group is an option to group the machines based on your usage, based on your requirement. So you might have already using the grouping in AD. So that is independent here. So we are not going to depend on that part here. So we're going to create a separate group inside the desktop center alone for easier management. So you can define the name that you want to give for this. and you can select the domain where the computers are going to be selected from. You can add the computers, and you can create a group for this. So, for example, if I'm adding my all my managers to this group, including CU and all that, then I will add them over here, and I will be able to create a global exclusions based on that custom group. So in case in later, if you want to add any specific user to that group, automatically he will be added to this exclusion list. So this is a main aim of using this global exclusion list. So now we have seen how things work practically on this console, but let's see how things works in the background. So first thing is I'm configuring a rule saying that this application has to be marked as a prohibited application. So next, the agent computers will be notified by the users for checking the installed software again the rule. I mean, so the agent will be notified on the refresh cycle, and they will understand that this is being as a prohibited software, and they will report back to the server, and these are all the applications that the user is using. And simultaneously, the user will also see this message saying that these are all the prohibited applications that is being listed. So if you enable the notification as I shown below. So here is where the end user can type the message saying that this app is used to contact, the user can specify the reason behind it, and he can send the request so the administrator can approve or deny it. So now I can configure an auto uninstall policy to uninstall it, or I can wait for the user itself themselves to uninstall it, or I can allow them to submit the request and I can respond it and I can add them in the exclusion list. So this is all about prohibited application. So using this method, you can monitor and get rid of any unauthorized application. But as a continuation, so what if the user is installing the application once again after the automatic removal? How can I monitor that? Yes, you have options for that as well. We have an option called alerts here. So we call that as intelligent scan mechanism here. So what it does is it will quickly run and differential, a scan whenever there is some changes on the end user's computer, right? It could be an installation, software installation, hardware installation, or removal of software or hardware. Everything will be captured, and you can easily filter them based on the date, and you can see the filters here, and you can filter it. So everything will be listed over here, and you can easily monitor who is installing the prohibited applications and all that. Okay, but this has to be a manual report. You need to come and export this every day. But you know, is there an effective way of handling this? Yes, you have an option called email alert. So here you can enable this option to get this as an email alert, like an automatic email alert. So whenever a prohibited software is installed, automatically an email will be triggered. Not only this, even for other uninstallations, you can do it. Other installations, you will get an alert. You can choose what kind of alerts that you want to receive. So you can even get an alert for the license, right? When the threshold is reached, you can get an email alert. Likewise, this is for the hardware section. If a hardware is added or removed without your knowledge, then you will be automatically notified. You can configure the same over here. Okay. So this is all about the second real-time example that deals with controlling the bandwidth spikes and unauthorized application. Okay. So if you guys have any questions or any ideas on this, you can share us in the chat. We will help you better on this. Okay, so this is the third scenario that we're going to talk about. So planning Windows 10 upgrade. Okay, so my organization has decided to upgrade the machines to Windows 10 and requested me to generate a report on eligible machines. So I have prepared in the criteria. So I first need to check the machines which are having the hard disk space about 100 GB, and to check the available RAM about above 104 GB, or even I need to check the machines which are coming into the warranty and all that. So these are all the basic criteria that I have. So let's see how I can generate those missions, I mean reports, and find out those missions. If I go to this inventory tab and if I go to the report section, I can show you the available options here. So here is where the hardware-based reports are available. So if I go to the computer by OS report, so this will list me the eligible computers which are having the operating systems like Windows Vista, Windows 8, and Windows 7. I can click on this bar and I can export this report separately. Okay, this is one option. So this is going to be providing me the report on the first criteria. And the second criteria that I have is to check the warranty of this details. So I can go to this reports and I can see the warranty details of the computers and I can export it, right? So I can neglect this computers to upgrade or renew the warranty and all that. And the next criteria that I have is to get the details based on the memory on the RAM. So here is where the eligibility is. So it has to be more than 4 GB. So I will click on this bar and I will export this report. But this doesn't serve my need here. So I have exported around 4 reports. All these are going to be separate reports, 4 different reports. How do I collate this all 4 reports and get a report out of it to see what are all the missions are satisfying all the criteria that I have? It's very simple. We have an option called custom report. So in this, you have an option to create any kind of logics that you want to apply to filter the report. Pertaining to the scenario, let's assume that I wanted to create all the criteria that I have in this criteria list. So physical memory, free space, warranty expiry date, and everything will be filtered and I can select the columns that I need and I will export this as a report. So this is going to help me. So I can simply run this report and I'll export I'll be able to see the list of computers satisfying this. So if I click on this, so these are all the computers listed. So I can see so I can provide this report to my management and they can approve it how I can do it. So my management has told me that I can only upgrade the operating system based on the OU, right? From one OU to another OU, like one department to another department. So how do I classify the computers based on the OU here? So for this scenario, I need to look for the second reports, which is called Active Directory reports. So for generating an Active Directory report, you need to first enable Active Directory synchronization, and you need to do a synchronization periodically so that the latest AD reports will be available here. So I can go to the OU reports and I can see the all OUs and I can generate a report out of it. And again, this is going to be a second report. Okay. So how do I use this filter on the actual report that I already have with the list of computers eligible? Okay. So in this scenario, it's going to be like 2 different tables here. So one is Active Directory related details and one is like inventory details. So how I can merge these 2 informations? For this, I can use the option called Query Report. I will be able to write a query, SQL query. So we also provide support to provide a query that you need. You can request us a query using this form. We can help you with the query that you need. Or you can get the required schema details from us and you can write your own query and you can build it. So let's assume that I already have a query. So department-wise Windows 10 upgrade cost. So I will be using this query. I will run a report and this will provide me an entire report about with all the details that I need. So I can sort this reports based on the department and I can provide it to my management. So based on this report, I can continue with my upgrade process. So this is also going to be very helpful for me. So this is all about the options available for me for planning in Windows 10 upgrade. Okay. So apart from this report section, you also have other reports like user logon reports, power management reports, patch reports, and all that, USB reports where you can see the USB usage of a computers and all that. And also, all these kinds of reports that we have seen so far can be scheduled. at your convenience. You can select all the reports or you can select any specific reports. You can set the logics about how I want to receive this report, in which format that I want to receive. So should I be receiving this as an attachment, or should I be receiving this as in a zip file, or should it be published? I can type the recipient email address here. I can configure the scheduler option, and I can sign this consent. So automatically the reports will be sent to my email. So this is all about reports. Okay, right. So let's move further to the next and the final real-time example. So proactively resolving hard disk space issues. Okay, so let's consider another scenario that I'm an administrator and I'm planning to upgrade Windows 10 in a couple of months. So I wanted to proactively resolve the hard disk related issues, and I wanted to increase the number of computers where I can upgrade to Windows 10. So what are the options available for me to handle this situation here? So let me show you the console once again. I'll go to the reports section, and in inventory reports, you have this option called computers by disk usage. So in this part here, I can see the total usage of the disks on each and every computer. So there's a total capacity, free usage, and everything. So I can filter it based on the group that I have already created, or I can go to the detailed view where I can see even more details, like I can see the drives also here. So this will help me to see the total usage and all this. So, but when I export a report, I'm not quite, it's not quite satisfactory here. So I'm expecting more number of machines to be having large space for me to do a lot of things. So I'm planning to find out the reasons behind this total disk usage. So I wanted to find what are all the files occupying the space, and whether it could be a media file, it could be an PST Outlook backup PST file. So I wanted to monitor this, and I wanted to alert the end users about the best plan of action to do to manage this effectively. So what are the options available for me? So I have another report here called file scan report. So where you have two options, file details by category and file details by extension. If I go to file details by category, I can see the details about the file types. So I can select the category. So it could be an audio file, movie file, and all that. I can see which computers has large number of audio files and everything. Yeah. So this is how I can export this report. And so likewise, if I wanted to select a specific files, a specific type of extension, then I can select it and I can export it as a report. But if I want to look for the other way around, then I can go for the file details by extension. If I want to search for a specific extension, then it could be an MP3 file or specific file, filter it. I can filter it easily over here. So these are all the options available for me. So using this, I can take the necessary actions to clean up those files. So we have options here in this configuration where you can uh, use these options to delete the unwanted files from the machines here. So using this file folder operations, you can delete these files and all that. So you'll be discussing about these configurations and other options in detail in the coming webinars in a couple of weeks. So you'll be able to understand that more here. So yeah, these are all the one action that I can do. And but still, I can use the other options to intimate the users about cleaning up the files, to make sure that they will not face any issues. And even though I have an option here in this configurations to alert the users itself by saying that disk space is getting low here. So you can even configure a task to purge the temporary files automatically. Or in the tools section, you have the cleanup activities in the tools here, where you can configure a cleanup task to do the required temporary files cleanup and everything. So this is the preventive action that I can do on in terms of this. But in order to find this report, in order to find the details in this report, I need to do two basic things. The things are, if I go to inventory, I first need to enable a file scan rules. So only based on this rule, my agent can understand what files that I can scan and find. So I need to define a rule name and I will specify what files has to be scanned based on this rule and I can disable this rule or enable this rule. So this is one factor. And the second factor is I need to enable a file schedule scan. So you need to set the conditions like frequency weekly or monthly, and you can set what are all the days that we need to run a scan, and you can schedule it. So by doing this, we will be able to handle this disk usage issues proactively. So that is all about the fourth scenario. Okay, so hope this was informative for you. If you guys have any questions on this scenarios, you can get back to us through chat. Okay. And so here is the next section, which is scenarios and solutions. So here we'll discuss about other few common scenarios that we came across in our support experience quickly. So first scenario, I want to add additional information about my computers to an asset data. Is it possible? Yes, of course, it is possible. If I go to a computer's inventory, a computer view, and I have this option to add custom data. Okay. So first option here is I can edit the data which is available and I can add the custom details over here like computer locations and all that. If I want to do them as a bulk, I can do this again in two methods. One, I can select all of them here, click on bulk, update all the details here. Or if I wanted to import the details as a CSV, I can use the format in the sample CSV and I can add the details over it. And we also have introduced the option called adding the columns, adding more customized column. So you have an option to add additional fields in the columns here. You can give any name like test or whatever it is meaningfully you can give. And you can select whether this column has to be on the computer view or in the software view here. So you can define the input format. It could be alphanumeric, numbers, and whatever it is. And you can define the value if it has to be any, right? Any certain conditions that you want to specify and everything, and you can add that. So automatically, you can edit those values here. For example, this is the custom field that I've added. So if I want to add the details, I can add the value over here like CTO, whatever it is. I will add it so the details will be updated on this. So this is all about custom field addition. Okay, scenario two, we have an IT policy for decommissioning systems every 5 years. So how do I get the list of those computers? Yes, we have seen this before. So where we have a report called soon to expire warranty and expired warranty reports available. So using this, you will be able to get the list of computers and get the details about it. And we will automatically fetch the details of the warranty details based on the expiry date here. So if I go to the inventory tab, I can show you how we fetch the details here. Okay, so if I click on this computer, so we have this option here. So we will automatically detect the service tag number. And if I click scan, it will automatically scan and it will show me the warranty details. So this is how we'll calculate the warranty of a computer. Okay, scenario three, shared directories with write access as a security threat. Can we identify it? Yes, of course, you can identify this. You have this option called mm, share details report. Here is that. So here you can filter based on the domain or the branch office, and you can see how many shares are created on each machines and who all are having the permissions to it, and so what is the level of permissions created for that share on that computer. So we can alert the users based on this. So this is option for you. And scenario four, Dropbox is installed as a user level application. Would you like to get and would like to get the list of computers that have it installed? How do I identify it? Yes, this is another important option available in this report here. User specific software. So using this report, you can see the applications installed in the user profile alone. So you can see all the details of the applications over here. Okay. Even if you click on an application, the number that you see here, you can see the computer names in which this is being installed as a user-based application. Okay, scenario number 5. I want to see the list of Mac-based applications in the network and the details of such computers. Because we already seen this. So after completing the inventory scan, so if you go to the computers list, you can click on the Mac computers here. I can click on this number and I can see the Mac-based computers here. Or I can simply create a filter over here based on the operating system as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Operating system equal to touch, and I will click on this and I'll see this. So even we have predefined reports available for the same. So computers by OS, device type, and all that, you can use any of these reports. Okay. So yeah, the second part of the question is so how I can see the applications installed. Okay, so I forgot to show you that. So in this inventory, I'll go to the Mac-based computers, Mac computer again. Okay, I'm going to create this. Okay, operating system equal to Macintosh. I'll click on the name. And if I go to the software list, this is going to list me the applications installed on this Mac computer. This is all about it. Okay, so scenario number 6. I want to identify the computers with local administrator account. Is this possible? Yes, of course, this is possible. We have the reports again for this. In this report section, you have system group users reports. So where you can set the filters to filter only the users with admin privilege, which means the users belongs to this admin group. So you can filter them and you can see the users and the name of the computer, right, and everything. You can export this as a report out of it. You can add a column or remove a column from this list. Okay, so this is also feasible. Okay, so that's all about the scenarios. So let's also have a quick look at the frequently asked questions. Okay, so do we need to install both Asset Explorer agent and the Desktop Center agent in all the missions? We are having plans. We are having Service Desk Plus with System Tools plugin. Yes, of course, if you do not integrate, so we have an option for integrating Service Desk Plus and Desktop Center. If you have plans to integrate, and if you integrate, you don't have to have two different agents. It could be a single Desktop Center agent, which will take care of both the functionalities. But if the integration is not done, you definitely have to have two different agents installed on the same machine. So it's better to go for the integration. Right. So question number 2, when you add a program to a prohibited software list, does it take all the versions of the software into account? Do I need to update the prohibited software list every time a new version is released? Yes, of course, because this prohibited software is going to be based on the version. So if I'm marking an application as a prohibited application, then it is based on the version. This is like, consider a scenario that as an administrator, I don't want to the users to use the older version, which is having some vulnerability. So I want them to upgrade to the latest version. So in order to uninstall the old version and reinstall it, I can use it. So it is better to filter it based on the version. So we have this based on the version. So you need to add a rule for each and every version for an application. Okay. So question 3, if the software that you want to prohibit is not already on your network, so how do I block using Desktop Central? Okay, so this is a very important scenario. So we have seen that in this prohibited software application, we will scan all the applications which has already been installed, and we can mark that as a prohibited application. We can perform that operations. But what if the application is not being installed on the machine? What if this inventory scan cannot collect those details? Because we collect the details from registry values and WMI. What if that there are applications where it will not show some traces in the registry and WMI, like portable applications like Keylogger and all that. So what is the best way of handling that situation? So we have an option called block executable here. So I can add a restriction based on the name of the exe. So I can find the name of the executable. It could be exe file, MSI file, whatever it is. I can define an application name. So the agent will read this, rule that I've created, and it will block the execution of that exe. But what if the user is changing the name of it because we are providing the name over here? So in that scenario, I will use the second option available where I can simply upload the sample version of that file. So we'll calculate the hash values, and even if the file name is changed, we will block that using the hash values. So this is also feasible here. So let me show you one simple example that I have created already. So this is a policy. So this is a policy that I created for keylogger. So with the hash value here. And this is a policy that I've created based on the name of the executable. So yes, this is feasible. Using this block executable, you can block any application. Okay, so what data is used to determine that the computer warranty has expired? Yeah, so we have already discussed about this again. So we determine the warranty of the details based on the purchase date here. So expiry date. So based on this, we will calculate the warranty expiration. So we'll automatically fetch the details from the vendor website using this service tag. Okay, right. So question number 5. In the inventory report of a computer without specific software, how to specify filter criteria and schedule them? Yes, this is also a very good option. So if I go to scheduled reports, I have shown you how to schedule the reports and all that. I can select the, you know, I can schedule it. But how I can set some conditions in this report. So how I can set some real-time conditions. For example, if I select the inventory report here, so for example, I'm selecting this computer by OS, but I want to get a scheduled report based on the operating system. So I want to apply a filter based on operating system, so I can select this application from this. Okay, so this is how I can achieve this. So the next and the final question, does Desktop Central detect that what software is installed on each machine, and if it is licensed, does it has an ability to detect the product key of each software license? Yes, we do have options to detect that as well. So in the report section again, this predefined reports, we have an option called software product keys. So in this report, you can see all the keys that we capture from the machines. We also capture the details of the operating system. Okay, so that's it about the questions. So hope you guys enjoyed the training and hope this was informative for you. So if you guys like the training, please do rate us on the scale of 1 to 5, whereas 5 is the best. Okay. And you can also share your word in the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn here using this hashtags. And so the next training schedule will be on remote control, which will be the next week, August 15th. So this will be conducted on 2 time zones. You can look at the time zones here. Okay, so in case if you are interested in this product and you would like to have a personalized demo, please do let us know through the chat. We will help you in the process of scheduling a demo for you. Okay, so thank you so much for your patience and time and joining the webinar today, and have a very nice day. Thank you.